Starting screen. Go over to starting.
Stop. What are you doing?
Where is... Go to the video, please.
You have created a monster and it will destroy you. She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Welcome to Monster Manor. We're sorry we're delayed. We're actually having some technical issues. So for some reason, due to some sort of download from Boris, I have no idea, but it caused problems. So we've got that figured out.
Well, you thought he needed Candy Crush.
Yeah, Candy Crush. Well, you know, Boris is our local gremlin. But all that aside, I met this gentleman that we're
not touch the Spotify on there.
Yeah, no, we're taking everything that you put on there off. Talking about Turnip Girls, I don't know. But without further ado, for real, I met our guest tonight, Sean Starwars, on TikTok, and I was taken by his work. It's amazing. It's so retro and fresh and cool. He puts a cool spin on this. But without further ado, I'd like you to introduce you to our friend Sean Starwars.
Hey, all right, we got it going. Nice.
We got it. A little late, but we're there, man.
Yeah, all right.
And you can hear us now. No problems there. We can hear you, so it's a good night.
Everything's great.
Thank you for sticking around. We will, for those of us that normally follow on Facebook, we will also rebroadcast on Facebook so they get it as well in the video feed. But in the meantime, thank you for your patience, first of all, and thank you for coming on. I mean, this has been, several months that I've been watching you, and I just love what you do, man. It's so cool.
Thank you.
Now, I know one of the questions that we had, and this was when I actually posted for the show announcement, someone said that name, Sean Starwars, that can't be real. Is that made up? So can you tell us a little bit about your name?
Yeah, sure. I've been making woodcuts for over 30 years, and I've been known as Sean Starwars longer than that. Before I was even a printmaker, just as a toy collector, as a big Star Wars collector, I just kind of took that name over. And, if you live with a lady for 7 years without getting married, it's a common law marriage.
Yes.
And so it's like, I've got a common law name, but I'm holding out to get it legally changed in case I come up with something sillier,
Wow.
Stuck for a while. So
Well, I thought it was cool. I mean, it's not every day you'd speak to Mr. Star Wars, so that's an awesome handle. So I usually do like to go back in the Wayback Machine and ask about, what was, young Sean like? What were you like? Were you a product of the 70s, I assume, with Star Wars and the rebirth of the Monster Kids?
Oh yeah, indeed. I remember I was telling my kids about this the other day that I guess when I was, what would that be, second grade? I had this really tall teacher, like woman teacher back in second grade, and just to, just in the interest of making it a complete story, she was this real tall black woman, right? And so I just kind of assumed that she was like Darth Vader. And so like I would pretend like I was breathing like Darth Vader whenever she was around.
Well, that's with teachers in general. They're always,
right.
They're always the heavy.
She didn't like it. I remember her kicking me out of class one time for it. And I was like, wow, she can't take a joke. But
it could always have been worse, man. You could have done Chewbacca.
Yeah, that would have been bad. So, but yeah, it's been around for a long time. The Star Wars goodness has been around for a long time, and it's just there was a while when I would watch, back like on VHS or whatever, I'd watch it every night before I went to bed, just hoping to have some Star Wars dreams, which I never have.
Yeah.
And now you can watch it a million different ways. When I'm in here working, making T-shirts or whatever with my kids.
Yeah.
Times we'll put one of them on, but we pretty much always just come back to either Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back, and we have a hard time with a real hard time with the other ones. Even though they're like people, there's a little bit of good in every one of them, but
yes,
like people, and there's a lot of bad in every one of them.
Oh yeah, very true. And I mean, it's very auspicious that we have you on this weekend. Because as a true fan, I'm sure you know what this weekend represents.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, 45 years, dude.
Yeah, and it's just it's hard to imagine that anything else will really ever have quite that same impact.
Yeah,
because like you and I got to be pretty close to the same age, and so the way we felt as kids, but then if you were 17, you would have thought it was cool too, and like if you were if you took your kids to see it, you were gonna like it, and even probably if you took your grandkids to see it, you were gonna like it. So it's one of those things that, like, I mean, it wouldn't have stayed around so long, even just that first year where it was a stayed in if people didn't want to see it over and over and over again. And it's just so cool because it impacted so many people all over the world, but for all of us, it was just our little world, Only as we got older and we got more connected with the internet and all these other things to realize just how deeply it affected almost everybody in the world in that short period of time.
Oh yeah, filmmakers and directors all over the world were influenced by that film, and it rebirthed the excitement around science fiction, which was cool, especially that old serial feel. So yeah, I mean, it was groundbreaking, and here we are on the 45th anniversary, which blows my mind. But yeah, Memorial Day of 1977 it hit, and it changed the world.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember the first commercial trailer I saw for it was it was Saturday night, and my parents always stayed up and watched Saturday Night Live and whatever else after that, but I hadn't gone to bed, but I had like kind of gone back into their bedroom or whatever, and I was watching TV by myself, and you only had the 3 channels or whatever, but I'm flipping through the channels, and in mid commercial, it's Chewbacca roaring, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I saw, and in my childish stupidity, I thought it was like a werewolf movie, like a space werewolf movie, and I was really damn terrified, right? I couldn't get it off quick enough to the next channel, and it was like I probably saw many commercials over the next couple of days, but like in my head, it was going to be this space horror movie, and I was not all about that, you know? So when my dad wanted to take me to see it that summer, I really dragged my feet all summer long. And it wasn't until we got back to school and all the kids were talking about it that I realized what a fool I was.
Yeah.
And, we got to go see it, And so after that, it was on. But it just even that first second of it, it's seared into my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely sparks a creativity, though, and you find so many people, artists of all kinds, like you and what I do in special effects and makeup and prop making. It gets so many people on different levels. Even Ben Burtt with sound design, with the people that did all of the work on the models, it has spawned so much creativity. So it's no surprise that I see the work that you do and I see the influences there as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for me, when I made that evolution from being just a toy collector in general, but obviously a Star Wars collector specifically,
right?
And I'm always on this seek and destroy, flea market, antique mall. Just it was so much harder to find anything in in 1990. You could find what there was that was old, but there was nothing brand new out there. And so you were desperate for anything that you could find, and I just wanted as much of anything that said Star Wars on it. So at first it's like having just wall to wall with sheets and bedspreads and and just getting like I just want to look and see nothing but Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And so it was right about that time that I was really focusing on what I was doing with collecting, that I also started really getting into drawing, and so it was a little bit, because I've never been like really rock solid at drawing. I've gotten to where I'm pretty adept with chisels and carving something out, but like just a good drawing, still, that's just not what I do. And so it was a while before I started really drawing Star Wars stuff and bringing it into that world of everything else that I'm doing, because for me, because I love Star Wars so much, I want it to look right. And so when I draw stuff, it doesn't look right. And it's just funny because the whole world of Star Wars, as crystal clear as it is in our minds, virtually all of it originated from concept paintings, right? I know everyone knows that, but it's just kind of staggering that this such an abundant, rich world originated or was brought to visual life by the paintings.
Yeah, Ralph McQuarrie. Yep.
And it's just, and those, it was until that traveling Star Wars exhibition, 20 years ago when it started making the rounds, and I saw it at the Brooklyn Art Museum, that I ever put two and two together with the size of those paintings that I had seen in books and how they were almost no bigger in real life. This paintings are so detailed and so alive and so small, and it's just a testimony to what somebody could do, to what McQuarrie could do. And of course all these other influences that brought it together, but just visually, it can't look more right than it does in a Ralph McQuarrie painting,
Oh yeah.
And then it can't look more awkward than it does in one of my woodcuts, And so it just, like I've learned to embrace it, but the collector part of me always kind of scoffs at what I'm doing because it's so just clunky, you know?
Well, I'll tell you from a fan's perspective, I absolutely love it, but I'm very partial. I mean, there's not one piece, and I've, in my research, I got to go through and look at a lot of your stuff on Instagram, which we do have all the links to your Instagram, your website, and all of that. That'll be popping up throughout the interview. But there is not one that I don't like. I couldn't just, if you told me pick one, there would be no way, because I mean, you have so many in the Star Wars. I could see that in like the Endor vendors and the Jawa traders and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask you about that. How did you get into woodcuts? Because that is a very different style.
Yeah. So, when I started really drawing was, a little bit of just doing it before I found myself in like having dropped out of college and gone back and just kind of trying to figure out what I was doing and taking art classes. But to just start drawing in and of itself came out of skateboarding, right? And so specifically, there's a couple of guys that did their own board graphics that I really connected with. One of them was Neil Blender, and he was really the guy that got me started wanting to draw, because his drawings were really accessible and they didn't seem polished. Another guy that rode for that same skateboard team that he did, Gordon Smith, was a guy named Chris Miller. And he actually, his board graphics, once he started doing his own, were woodcuts and lino cuts. And so in reading about that back in the late 80s, I was really attracted to whatever that was. I didn't know what it meant. I just knew the word and the result were really powerful, right? And so when I got into printmaking and I saw that you got to make lino cuts, I was like, that's that thing that Chris Miller does. And so literally from the first week of printmaking, and this was 1990, from my first week of that printmaking class, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's just absolute magic. I can't get enough of it. And it really, if you're looking at like the German expressionist or, artists like that, I was really relating to like that heavy-handed kind of immediate, kind of cruder, roughly hewn imagery, right? And it was really running a parallel with the energy in skateboarding.
Yeah.
And so, when I started to draw something like just a little R2D2 or whatever, it, in the way that I do everything, it just, it just seemed like it kind of fit, because something that is so mechanical and so lifeless, in and of itself, just a robot, or also thinking of a stormtrooper, and that revelation you have as a kid when you realize that, because I know that, awesome. I thought stormtroopers were robots when I was 8.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and it was like weird. It's like, how do they hollow out a robot so that Luke and Han can be in one?
Yeah.
Think of them as people, right? And but anyway, they're so mechanical, right? And then to impart a little bit of life and energy just in that process of the way that I make a woodcut, I liked, you can't see both my hands because I'm balancing with but, I like that balance, and so I really do come back to that kind of that rough energy. And it's something that is much more technically well executed by anybody else. But then we're still speaking that language, because as soon as I do this, it's a R2D2. It doesn't matter how you draw it,
Right.
And so what I like to do in general with all of the woodcuts is it's really just always a conversation starter, and now that we have all this social media, and so we can live stream and we can do all these things, there's so many times that I get to stand in front of what I'm doing and share that with people in real time.
Right.
But when you don't have that, and you can still take comfort in knowing that when somebody walks up to that image and they see that little rough R2D2, They know what it is. They connect with it, and they're speaking the same language as you. And that's what I like about all of that pop culture stuff. When I do it, is it's always just a shared point of commonality. It's always it's always a handful of words in someone else's language.
Yes, and it is universal. And I mean, the thing that I love about no matter what you do, whether it's in the horror genre or I notice you have a great affinity for creature, and we're going to throw pictures up throughout the interview. But I mean, your monsters are so spot on. They are very much that West Coast, garage art industry style. I mean, I love the colors, the vibrancy. It's like it just walked out of Famous Monsters magazine.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to find such incredible color?
Yeah.
Like it strikes you anytime you see it. I mean, like I'm as big of a collector of a lot of things as I am, I really have never sunk my teeth into specifically collecting monster magazines. And like I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago with the conversation I had with one of my friends in Texas. And I was like, why haven't I sought that out specifically? Because it's still around. They're still out there to collect, and they're still for the most part, they're still going to be affordable except for very specific things. But because at the same time, I absolutely love old magazines in general. That's really one of my favorite things to come across, and I don't care if it's a ladies' home journal or Sports Illustrated or Saturday Evening Post or whatever it is. I live and breathe for that stuff.
Yeah.
And yet, like, there's just like this kind of block off where I didn't like extend that into hunting out the things in person to hold. There's nothing like holding an old magazine. At the same time, I spend a lot of times going through internet archives and archive.com and looking through all the PDFs, as many of these old monster magazines as I can find wherever else. And it's a great resource, but there's nothing like, I mean, all I have to do is reach right here, and there's nothing like just the purity of that. I mean, it's like the colors are so, just that printing process back then when it was cheap, when it was crude. And so when it was something that should have been tight, it still is cheap and garish. And like if it's a hand illustrated painting of Vincent Price or whatever, all the better, but touching this old paper, it takes you back in a way that looking at it on your screen just can't. Yes.
No, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of the magazines, they've gone over to archival paper and everything like that. But there are a couple of them that you still pick them up at the Barnes & Noble, brand new. And they've got that old newsprint. The newsprint is there. The old smell of the ink that rubs on your fingers is there. I'm very tactile when it comes to that. So I totally relate to that love of old magazines in general. But then the art process and everything that they did, the old ads and stuff, that's a big influence on what we do as artists.
Sure, absolutely. And it's just like it's crazy how intertwined all of that stuff is, and how like self-generated so much of it is. And for me, I have like, let's say from ages 6 to 26, where I'm absorbing these things just casually, or just however they come across to me, old, like, I mean, I very clearly remember when I was 13, when everybody had to go to 7-Eleven and get their 3D glasses so they could watch Creature from the Black Lagoon, on TV.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that was. And, so I'm 13 when that was happening, but probably, it probably happened 10 years before, in 1973 for a bunch of people. And, then the people that got to go see it re-released in the theater like in 1963 or something, and then of course, saw it when it came out, and we all have those really ingrained memories of that, no matter when you come to it, right? Or no matter when you revisit it. But look, I really wasn't I really wasn't devouring famous monsters until probably the last 10 or 15 years, where I really like and part of it is for me, just as I've because I do make a lot of work, so I exhaust a lot of ideas. A lot of my ideas that have been self-generated, those have been exhausted a long time ago, so like as I'm allowing myself to get deeper and deeper and more interested in things that I was only casually interested in before. And so like, I'm really, like I said, I'm pretty new to all of that. And so like, if I'm looking at a famous monsters number 3 or 4, and I'm seeing it not from 50 years ago, I'm seeing it from like, it's like we have access to the internet now, so we can find everything at one time, and so to see these same still photos used over and over for decades, and or to see the source material for that, see where that pops up, or to see just that wide range of Don Post advertisements or Topstone advertisements and all of that stuff, it's all just so invigorating. It's all just so exciting and inspirational. But it's like I get to like dive into it all from the top down, instead of it precipitating and eventually covering us and being immersed in it. It's a little bit different than it is for me with some other things that I've been gung-ho about it from day one, but that color, it's just the best.
Well, like we're gonna start showing some of the monster ones and the robots. We've each in our family, when we were doing this research, we picked our favorites. But while we show through some of these pictures, because I want to get people acquainted with the work that you do, and definitely follow him on social media. He's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of those, plus your website. We have the Woodcut Funhouse, but we also have yours specifically, correct?
Right. Yeah, Sean.
So definitely check out all, but this is a small sampling. I mean, he is one of the most prolific artists out there, and only woodcut artist that I know, which is the colors and everything. So let's roll through some of these. And while we're showing some of the pictures, could you describe what goes into a piece when you first have that inkling of inspiration to coming up with something? Because this piece is so vintage here that we have on. Yeah, my wife is in love with that. I love this kind of, this is the quintessential 70s kitschy, art, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, so just a real simple drawing. I draw with Sharpie. I don't put a lot of effort into the drawing because I know that it's not going to pay off in a better drawing. And I know that all of the payoff is going to come in removing the wood as I'm carving into it. That's when I can really make it the way that I want it to look, and so, it's just like with the Mars attacks, it's kind of what I was just talking about with magazines. It's like specifically the case with Mars attacks, because I didn't grow up with the Mars Attacks trading cards or even the comic books or anything. My first exposure to it was the movie, which when I saw it, I didn't even, I gotta admit, I wasn't crazy about it. It didn't look right to me without even knowing what right was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But CGI not really having reached its full potential back then, it didn't look that great, and I had no idea about the history of it, right? And so as I got more and more into the history of it, and just the story of and I'm horrible with names, but the story of the kid that was writing to the president of Topps and telling him how much he loved, like the Civil War trading cards that were out there, and they're gory and everything, and how much he loved these things. And at the same time that he's having this letter writing relationship with a pretty important guy in this field that we all love. And then the kid's father dies, and so the guy kind of embraces him a little bit even more, just kind of as a mentor. And
Right.
then the guy's eventually working there, and they come up with the whole concept for the story, and they get like all of these top guys to do all the illustrations. And I had no idea about the history of that. I had no idea until a few years ago when I was like, because I love The Martian, right?
Mhm.
And like, oh wow, I didn't know, I didn't know, and like I didn't know the level of side stories and all of these other artists that have added to the series beyond the first 50 or 60 cards or whatever it was. And there's so many good ones. It's so fun. It's such a striking image.
They got away with so much during that too, because I mean, they had, armies getting blown away and dogs, and it was like, it was hard. It was straight up hard. And, you got to think when this came out in the 60s and 70s, that was not heard of. They went through the same thing. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Tales from the Crypt, William Gaines, they were like blacklisted from being anywhere. So the fact that lasted so long, but the design and the color and the vibrance were so beautiful in these hand painted cards.
Yeah. Just, and that, like that guy, Norm Saunders, who did so many of them. He's just a treasure trove anyway.
Yeah.
Just like he's, and I just absolutely love good illustrators, which I don't consider myself one in the least. These guys that are better than photography.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and so, I mean, it's just mind blowing what people can do, Yeah. Just how technically masterful people are with materials and with their imagination and with their design sensibilities and all of those things. But again, just like McCory, to bring these things which would be compelling enough just as words.
Yes.
I mean, so all the more when like they are the defining aesthetic to something like Mars Attacks or whatever. And there's so much to learn as an artist from looking at those guys, but then there's also just so much to absorb just as a pop culture consumer. There's so very much great stuff out there. And so whenever you learn of a new name, you just can immerse yourself in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, and I want to say this because you are too humble. I absolutely love your work. I love your style. I love your coloring. So don't be so humble, man. I would be very proud of this work. Like I said, this stuff I would say for the Monster Kids especially, it has such an aesthetic. All of your work, it pops. And I've watched how you do. I guess it's the Lin cuts and how you do that on shirts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal work. Could you describe us through because I know you even have in your TikToks and in your Instagrams, you have stories about the selections of wood that you use. I think it was the Japanese plywood.
Shina, Shina. That's my very favorite. What I normally use is just birch plywood, right? And I was just answering a question about this on a live earlier today. They were like, can you just go get wood from Lowe's or Home Depot? And yeah, you can get birch and it's adequate. But there's a higher quality of birch that comes from Europe, Baltic birch or Russian birch. And it's just made better. It's just made to higher specifications in terms of like the knot holes and all of the different things that would detract from a piece of wood that's going to be used for a cabinet or something.
Mhm.
And so the Baltic birch is really good wood, and it really never will sabotage you by working against you when you're cutting into it. You know,
Right.
at the same time, if you take a chisel, anything you can carve into, anything you can make a mark into, anything that you can roll ink onto will work. You know, so there's fake wood called MDF. It's basic. I mean, if you don't know, it's kind of like particle board, but it's even finer dust that it's made of. A lot of printmakers use MDF, and it's more than fine. It's great. I don't like it. I like the real wood. There's something about it being alive, being formed alive that I love. You know, and just there's a tactile quality to that.
Oh
But
yeah.
specifically the Sheena, it's Japanese, and it's in the basswood family, and I don't know anything else about it, about why it's so great. I just know that if I wasn't already married, I probably would marry Sheena plywood. It's just life changing. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know? But it's expensive, and it's really hard to get in this country. There's as far as, and I spend a lot of time looking for it. So if somebody else finds it somewhere, let me know. But in this country, really, you only get it imported from one printmaking supply place on the West Coast, and you're paying double shipping because it's shipped to them and then shipped to you.
Right.
And it's expensive anyway, and whatever. But it's such a pleasure to work with that sometimes I do just go ahead and invest in that. You know, it's 5 times more expensive than Baltic birch, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So then I know you also have the linoleum that you use. How does that compare? And what are the differences between a good wood and the linoleum as far as the cuts?
Well, you know, I love linoleum, and here's that Mars Attacks. Here's that Martian. And so one thing is it's really thin. And because it's this weird material that's like I've researched before. I don't remember what all goes into it, but the lin in linoleum and the oleum in linoleum it's linseed oil, right? It's like it's congealed linseed oil that's baked at this slow, long, 2-week temperature at a real low, 2 weeks long at a real low temperature or something. And it's embedded in this fiber backing, right? And it's really cool, and this is battleship gray linoleum, which was used, it's battleship gray, and it was the flooring in battleships. I mean, it's like it was just wildly abundant and really pretty sturdy, and you can still get it. You can still get just regular, real battleship gray linoleum in like 6 foot high, by the yard, giant rolls of it. I get mine from Speedball Art Supply. I do a bunch of stuff with them. So they send me a big roll of linoleum when I need it. And I like it. I like it a lot. In the summertime, it's real flexible. In the colder months, it's real brittle, which is a drawback.
Oh, yeah.
Carve into it. You can heat it up with a hair dryer or set it outside in the sunlight, and it'll warm up anyway. But it's real easy to carve when it's soft. It's kind of a little too easy sometimes when you're aggressive, the way that I kind of am when I'm working. So the wood gives you a little more resistance and keeps you from getting carried away with yourself. But the thing about the linoleum that's really bad is like this piece right here. This robot it's broken, right? It's like it's just cracked, chipped. Pieces of it have ripped off on the other blocks and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a very there's very limited. I mean, I don't take the best care of anything, but even if you did, there's a limited amount that you can print of those, right? So like
Right.
I just realized, and I was kind of surprised by this, but I was just looking at my Woodcut Funhouse site.
Yeah.
And like I've only been doing TikTok for about a year, right? It'll be a year this month in June. So like I made this on TikTok, printed it on TikTok, and have sold a ton of, but for me, a ton of them. So of this one design, I've sold like 150 shirts, which is nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
But yet, at the same time, that's a lot of t-shirt sales coming in. It's helped us a lot. It's partly why I've been able to leave teaching and just do this full time. And so like, okay, that's not a ton, but I can only think of one or two other blocks in my lifetime that I've printed anywhere near 150 of something, right? But it's basically, you can see through it. Like you can see the design on the other side of that backing now, and its days are numbered. And so I have a piece of wood right here. I started a new drawing of a new Mars Attacks Martian today.
Yeah.
And I want to make it a little bit different, but basically I just want to be able to keep running with what I have in that case, because that's a popular design. So I don't want it to be all the way gone, but this actual block is pretty much
wow.
shot.
So they do have a finite lifespan. I mean, they are going to wear out. I saw the process of how you print the shirts with the linoleum and lay it down. I guess you could even do that with wood, but you crank that through. That's, how many 100 pounds of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot, and the nice thing about printmaking is that you can make it work for you any way that you want. It's so adaptable, and there's so many approaches with it that it's not super easy to make a t-shirt off of a wood block or a lino cut without a press, but you can do it. But it's super easy to make a print on paper without a press, which is really encouraging. So if you wanted to, I'm just getting kind of scratchy.
Oh, please.
If you didn't have a press, but you had a piece of linoleum and a piece of wood and just a little bit of ink and just one tool, you can make a print. People will rub over their wood blocks or their lino with a spoon. You can use a metal spoon, a wooden spoon, plastic spoon. You can tell I've been eating in here today. There's a piece of equipment called a baron, which is this little round, traditionally in Japan, this little round piece of like a little bamboo disc. And you can just kind of rub over your paper onto your block and push it down and just kind of get that down there and make your print. So you could do that. You could make a print tomorrow for $20. Starting out with nothing and a $20 bill, you could have everything you need and make a print, which is really cool. If the electricity goes out, you can still make a print,
Right.
And if you want to print on a press, then that does make it easier. It is, for doing t-shirts, like I'm wearing this King Kong t-shirt that it's a rare one for me because because I didn't make it. It's from a museum in Illinois. And so, they have the big print of this in their collection, and they sell this in their gift shop, right? So when they started to do that, they sent me a few shirts. This is screen printed, which it's so much easier and just more efficient, more cost effective in every possible way. it's why it's a commercial process that everybody uses is they screen print T-shirts, right?
Right.
Of course, there's direct to garment and heat transfer, and there's other ways that you can do things, but it's not very practical to do it on a press, right?
Mm.
But the nice thing about that is, for one, because I get, depending on how well a video does, it gets exposed to people that aren't looking at my woodcuts, and they, it goes on a For You page or whatever.
Right.
And they know about screen printing, or they know about something else. And they're like, well, why don't you just screen print that? It'd be so much easier. I hear that from screen printers a lot, that's their industry. And I love T-shirts. I love T-shirts, and like in my history of owning T-shirts, almost all of them are screen printed. So I don't have a problem with them, but I even screen print my own envelopes because it just is easier and makes more sense than doing them on my press. But I make the woodcuts and I make the lino cuts. And so that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to print them. And whether I'm printing them on paper or printing them on a wooden panel so that they're ready to hang and don't need a frame or anything, or if I'm printing on a T-shirt, or I can tilt this and you can see my curtains that I made. Those are off.
Wow.
Those are off of my off of some lino cuts.
I love it.
Thanks. And so because I'm making these things and because that's what I do, it just makes sense to do them on T-shirts anyway.
Right. And it's much more visceral. I mean, it's, you're making less of them, of course, but there's so much more of a connection to the artist as well when you have something like that. And your colors are so vibrant. You even do black light. A lot of what you've done on especially the monsters that I saw, they were black lights, so they react so vividly.
Yeah, that's just the most fun ever. Like, what is okay?
The black light, even the black and white stuff.
Oh yeah. The producer lady is in love with a lot of your black and white and monochromatic, but they are so just like a wolf man. These are monster kids' dreams. They're just so visceral, and the again, it's for me, it's such a throwback to the 70s.
Yeah.
When this, and in fact, the last one that we just showed, Shock Monster. Yeah. That is an icon, and you capture it so well, not in the same style, but you look at the beauty of your style, or Big Daddy Roth, or any of those great artists from the West Coast and stuff. It's so visceral.
Yeah. And, and man, I must have just been the biggest scaredy cat as a kid, because another thing that I just have so ingrained, I did, this is what I'm going to say, but when I was like 6, I had a really cool, I don't know if it was Ben Cooper or what, but just just one of those vacuum formed Frankenstein masks and the stupid little screen printed graphic on the vinyl costume.
Yeah.
And I played with it all the time until it went away, until it just broke because they're so flimsy. But I loved that. But by time I remember that same, being 10 or 11 at this little department store in when I lived out in Colorado, at this little department store we'd go to all the time. And I'd go to the toy section, and it was a tiny little toy section, and they also sold some models there. And it was the Rat Fink. It was like the version of the Rat Fink model from the 70s that was just really ugly. Like the airbrush work on the box art, it didn't have any of that kind of purity from the early 60s. It was just sinister, filthy, ugly from like 1979 or whatever, And I remember looking at that, and I wasn't scared of it, but I'd look at it all the time, every time I was at that store, and I would think, who in the world would ever want that in their life?
Yeah.
It's so ugly. It's so base. I didn't know about the concept of something being base, as like, it's just repulsive. And it wasn't like repulsive and attractive at the same time, it was just flat out repulsive to me. And I find it hilarious that I like it so much now.
Yeah.
Know? But,
some things take a few decades to ferment.
Yeah.
So here is the one that gives me the most heat.
The which one? The big bad wolf. Yes.
That one scares the bejesus out of me. I don't know why.
Yeah, that one is great. Producer lady, Miss Amber, she's commented on this a couple of times. This one has that same quality. It has the whimsy. It's indescribable. I just love your style. How you can take two colors and make it so lifelike and so vibrant. It's just amazing, man.
Cool, thanks. It's I have so much fun, and it's like all of it's fun. Looking for things is a lot of fun. Looking for things to vibe off of. And then making it is a lot of fun, and then printing it is fun, and then looking at it is fun, and then talking about it is fun. All of it, it's just such an enjoyable experience. But it's like how many big bad wolf with a top hat and those horrible teeth, right? All those Disney Three Little Pigs cartoons.
Yeah.
Every cartoon company had that same guy. It's like it's just a mainstay. And it's just, man, it's just alive. It just, you definitely, like, there's it. I don't know. It is still a little bit scary. Those guys have sharp teeth, and nothing more scary than a real wolf. My goodness. I've got a really great friend printmaker that he draws a lot of really awesome wolves, right? Like just badass. Dennis McNett. He's incredible. And he loves real wolves, so like he's gone out to these wolf sanctuaries, and like he's petting them and feeding them and all that stuff. And I couldn't do that for all the money in the world. Like they're terrifying. They're so ferocious. I love snakes. I pick up a rattlesnake and not think twice about it. But like, I'm not going to get within 100 yards of a wolf if I could possibly. Oh yeah.
They're savage. I think that's what's made like Wolfman and American Werewolf in London so visceral, is that you have this beast. The wolves are not your normal everyday dog. Now they're wonderful and they're loyal, but they are also ferocious looking.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. But I love that one though. That your take on that, and the Lon Chaney Wolf, man, they're so well done, and all of the hair and everything that you see with that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to cut that stuff, and you can still be pretty loose with it.
Right.
Somebody else, that wanted to do a woodcut of that, they could be 12 times more intricate, and they would get even more of a payoff in just believability. It's nice just to be able to do that repetitive little slash mark in the wood, and it looks like fur or hair or whatever. And it's fun to be able to do that.
I know it must be a great range depending on what the detail is in a piece, but what's the typical range for how long it takes you to cut one of those pieces? Because it's usually not just one either. You have several different layers to give you all of those colors.
So, if I'm doing like a t-shirt graphic, something that's just that one shape, just whatever it is, if once I know what I want to do, and once I have that real loose drawing on there, which it's only a minute's worth of drawing, but it might take me 15 times to get it right, to get it where I like it. But once I have it there, I probably would carve something like that Mars Attacks again. It probably took 2 hours to carve out once it was drawn out, maybe not even that long. And another one of my really good printmaking friends, one of my biggest inspirations in printmaking, is I think he's the best relief printmaker in the world, Tom Huck, right? He is so worth checking out. He's such a great storyteller. His work is so complex and so detailed, and he can draw phenomenally. You know, when I always talk about the difference between me and him, he and I should say, but you know, when I go and visit him in St. Louis and we're both working, and the piece he's working on, he works 8 hours a day, every day of the week. And 6 months later, he has this otherworldly piece, right?
Wow.
And in a 3-day weekend on that same 3 foot by 6 foot piece of wood, I'm carving, and in 72 hours, I'm done. And his is, you know, not 72 weeks, but 36 weeks or something, sometimes longer. When you look at his work, you understand why, because it really is just phenomenal. And I'm going to say, because like we're all, anybody that knows him, anybody in printmaking is so proud of him for so many reasons. He just delivered this gigantic piece to the Met, to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, like a damn printmaker, you know. Like a printmaker, just
one of us made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just mind blowing, you know.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, but so his work is I can't recommend it enough. You know, whether you're interested in printmaking in general, specifically, or just great imagery, you know, he's literally a master, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they don't take me that long. You know, I take a lot of breaks. I mean, I might take a break within a minute. You know, I might work hard for like 40 seconds, take a 15-second break.
Yeah.
1 second, take a 4-second break, and that's a minute. You know, I did something one time, which was kind of fun when I was a visiting artist out in Oklahoma. I did 24 woodcuts in 24 hours. And like I was given, this was before, I don't remember being able to post video on Instagram at the time. Right. So it was just picture updates. But like, you know, I'm giving a couple updates every hour as I'm finishing a piece and then posting the printed piece and then moving on, you know, and so like that was my version of live streaming at the time. I'm probably going to do that this summer to do it again. But it was a real challenge to be productive for 24 hours, but there's a very finite amount of movements that you can make in an hour, whatever it is. If it's 350, if it's 500, it can't be 501, you know? And so when I did my first one from I started at 9 o'clock, and I thought, well, I work really fast. I'll probably get done in 35 minutes. And so every hour I'll have like 25 minutes. I can just chill out, think, draw, eat, whatever. Right. My very first one took like 58 minutes. Right. And I was like, I don't stand a chance. There's no way, you know, but I mean, I did it, but I definitely got to where I was having to compromise with how many cuts I would make versus how much information I could put in there to still sell that story of the image, still pull off, you know, and it was a real balance. But in the end, I got it all done, had about 10 minutes to spare. And then I had to go give a talk about it, you know, at the university. And then I got to sleep for about 8 hours after that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's so important to me to be working, you know.
Yes.
That's when I feel like I'm doing something, is when I'm carving. When I'm printing, you know, that's just the culmination of all the work that I've done, you know, all of the idle thinking time and the research and the drawing and then the carving. But that's the part that I love. There's nothing like just being able to slice into that wood with these sharp tools, you know, and the every little wood chip, you know, it flies up into the air. It lands on the floor. I step on it. I track it all over the house. I'm sweeping all day, every day, vacuuming. The kids are vacuuming every day. But it's just sending that wood chip up into the air is just glorious.
Yeah.
You know, just watching
it's oddly satisfying.
It really is. You know,
you have a post, I believe it was on Instagram, of you doing a cut of wood, and a perfect little spiral comes up that's so delicate. You
Yeah.
probably couldn't sculpt something so perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, like you and your little curly cues of clay.
Yeah.
that I'm constantly
Yeah.
running behind you with a little ball of clay trying to pick them up.
Yeah, I mean, it. Something that I've wanted to do, and I just never have done it, is I kind of just want to see how long of a continuous piece I can make. I just don't
Oh, that would be fascinating.
and like at printmaking conventions, which are pretty, when you're at the printmaking part of a printmaking convention, it's pretty boring, right?
Yeah.
When you're at the convention part of it, it's all right. But, they try to make these printmaking conventions a little fun from time to time. And they do like little challenges and things. And like, I've wanted to like challenge a bunch of other printmakers to just see who could make like the longest, most continuous piece of linoleum and wood. And just like, I don't even know how you would like you unfold it and measure it, or
Yeah.
by weight or what, but it's like I don't want to stop. I have to stop because I'm at the edge of my drawing, but I want the chip to keep going. I want the spiral to keep going.
Right. I mean that would be something to see in the Guinness Book of World Records. I would love to see something like that. But just, I mean, it's fascinating anyway what you do, but to see spins like that would get it some attention. But
Yeah.
it's very understated work, and I haven't seen many artists that do what you do, which was why it was such a refreshing look. Because like when I found you on TikTok, it was one of your lives.
Yeah.
And please, I know we have been putting up the information. Check out Sean Starwars on TikTok, because he does great lives. He does excellent videos. I mean, he has a bunch to choose from in the past, but your lives are so interactive. And I love that, man. I love that. That is awesome. It's for an artist to watch you work. It's an inspiration to me. I'll put it on and I'll just do my thing while I'm working. And, it's kind of like we're having a long distance art jam together. It's really cool stuff.
Thanks, man. It's such a, I've been on Instagram forever and I love it. And I mean, I gotta say, I don't love it as much as I did, right? Because so many of the things that just felt like they were missing on Instagram,
Yeah.
they really do seem like they're present on TikTok, and that's shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely surprising what community is really there, and
Right.
just kind of like it seems so much more supportive, and Instagram seems a little bit more like where you're reflecting your own glory.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. Look at what I did, what I bought, what I'm eating, all of that. And it's great, for what it is. I love it still. But TikTok, I mean, and I like a few times I've gotten, on two phones, and I've had Instagram and TikTok going at the same time. And I will, I have many more friends from real life and from over the years on Instagram. So I'll see my friends on Instagram, but I'll have like a sum total of 40 or 50 people if I'm on there for an hour.
Mhm.
And then on TikTok, if you're on there for an hour, you're going to get 1,000, 1,500 or whatever. A lot of comments, a lot of repeat people coming and
True.
talking to you. And that's really my very favorite part of all of this. And like, I mean,
The
think about,
interaction.
it's like you have so much that you're interested in, and like, I've only known you for a short while, and I was watching your, I guess it was episode 1 today with, his last name is Roddy. I don't remember 2-3 names.
J. Michael Roddy. Yeah.
Okay. So like you guys had so much that you were talking about and so much depth to what you were talking about, right? You could connect with him, and I'm trying to like figure out all these things, these events that you must be doing and things that you can go to, because there was the sounded like it was an event around the creature from the Black Lagoon. It was Gil. What was it?
Celebration. Yeah, we did that in 2019, right before the pandemic, for the 65th anniversary. That's where I met James Michael Roddy. So,
okay. Oh yeah. So, I mean, there are some things that you could talk about to almost anybody, because Star Wars, Frankenstein, the creature, right? When do you get to start that conversation if you're not doing this video, or if you're not in your field? You can't just walk up to the lady in front of you at the grocery store and say, wow, did you notice in The Bride of Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Did you notice that 30-second moment where, like, I realized something today that I never, and you can't have that conversation with a total stranger.
No.
But once you bring them into this arena of, we're here to talk about monsters, we're here to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah. It's
the same way with printmaking. Really, the last thing I ever want to talk to any of my printmaking friends is about printmaking. But like, that's what's got us here, you know? And so any of those people that I mentioned, Tom Huck or Bill Fick or, you know, Dennis McNabb, any of those guys, I've been friends with them for 25 years. I hope to be friends with them for another 25 or 30 years. And if none of us ever make another print, if we never hold up another print, look at another print, we still have these lifelong friendships that are from everything,
yes,
including printmaking. And that's what this world of monsters is.
Yes. It binds a lot of people together.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like, it's so personal, and yet you're able to share it with just about anybody. And it's just invigorating. It's just really electrifying, you know?
Yes.
It's fun.
Well, I mean, the thing is that we've barely even touched the surface of what you do. I would love to have you back on the show, maybe as a bonus episode where we, you know, hang with you while you work and just watch how you work and have that stream of consciousness conversation.
Yeah, that would be a blast. That'd be super fun.
Yeah, we could even do a TikTok or something like that, do an art jam, because I was just amazed by your process. And I would love to just share that with as many people as we can here on our platform. But again, all your info, I believe, is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If anything is not correct, please let us know. But if you want to, because this was, again, a fast hour. I mean, I despite all of the technical difficulties, this was a fast hour. Yeah. So I would like to invite you to come back on at another time and pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That would be awesome. And if you do want to find out more about Sean, definitely check his socials. Afterwards, on the Monster Manor Facebook page, we will repost this video as well, but we'll have some of the photos that we used in this, because there are just so many beautiful photos. And thank you for your work. Thank you for sharing that. Sure. To a fan like me, it's incredible. I love it, man.
Thank you so much. It was, you know, so much fun to be able to do this. I love it. Thank you. It's just a blast.
My honor completely, man. Thank you so much. And if you want to hang on in the green room, you're more than welcome. We have our Boris caused a little bit of problems in the technical in the beginning, but he's cool, and he's going to be coming on. He is our horror host that takes up with some cool reviews and stuff like that. So we're going to have a little quick break with our sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll be with the wonderful Boris. So again, Sean, thank you for spending some time with us tonight, and hang in the green room if you want to see what we do next.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, my friend. So here, without further ado, let's go to the commercials for our sponsors, Pache Airbrush. They've been with us for many, many years now, and we can't thank them enough for their continued support. So let's go ahead and play this wonderful little intro.
you delete anything off of that, the Candy Crush or the Wordle, and Boris gonna have it. Yeah, you're behind because that's what happened when your password's 5678. That's what his password's 5678 on the computer.
No.
So the hobo baby can make the home schooling thing.
Not anymore, Boris.
Well, yeah, in 7890. Hello, everybody. It's Boris. He gone for like 2 weeks because he was a spookle. And that was a nice thing because he spent about 11 hours in the makeup chair with Fensterberger here. And oh, by the way, nice tie. You look like the manager, like the Sprockets or the what's the one with the skating burgers? The Sonic.
Oh.
You come outside. Is the food okay, everybody? It's like, it's a nice tie though. It's from Convention Comforts. He's too nice for him. He doesn't deserve a tie like that. But producer lady buy him. So they're giving him the finger. Okay, disclaimer, because Boris got to do disclaimer. Anything come out this mouth is this fault. Guy here sitting in the chair. It's not Mrs. Fensterberger, producer lady, hobo baby, the kid hiding in the bathroom for 5 hours, or the 17-year-old wander around to this mysterious abuela house. Maybe she exists, maybe she don't. But blame Boris. Go on the Facebooks and say, hey, Boris Rizyansky, spelled like a sound, and say, you offend me. And Boris was like, tough. It's 2022. You should be offended by everything by now. Why you molester and the producer lady?
I'm just going to monitor sound.
You're going to monitor sound.
Everything is going well.
Should have monitored the sound 3 hours ago. Before the Microsoft decided to update. First, to make a look at the feed pics on the OnlyFans.
Thanks, Mr. Gates.
Well, that's, you're the one looking at the feed pics. And not even nice feed pics like the people in the flippers. He's weird. He like scuba feed pics and stuff. Anyway, we're going to do 3 things about producer lady. 3 facts, like we always do. 1, producer lady never dial the wrong number. You just pick up the wrong phone. 2, producer lady so tough she tells Simon what to do in his own game. And 3, producer lady so badass she can make snowman with rain. So those are 3 facts about producer lady. And Boris had another one, but she didn't like that one about is rainbows happen when producer lady bitch slap Richard Simmons upside the head. She didn't like that one. She liked Richard Simmons.
I would never bitch slap Richard Simmons.
Well, he's hiding now. He's like he's in hiding, probably witness protection, because something that somebody did. So it's about 11 o'clock. Boris is already checked out mentally. Okay, 10 till. Usually Boris do like promos now, but he's gonna talk about what he bought in the Spookler. 1, he mentioned Creature Comforts, Convention Comforts. Convention Comforts is a nice lady who make all this stuff, like ties and little pillows. You can pull out the blankets and things. You should go. It's the Etsy shop, but she made the Festamaker. She made the tie the Festamaker wear. He's got monsters on it. Is it monsters?
Yes.
That's tasteful. Too tasteful for him. You should have Hawaiian lady with the juggles jiggling and stuff on it. But now he's stripping. This is great.
Yeah.
First you look at the feet pics, now he's taking clothes off. No, you're not getting money, Festamaker. This ain't the Jiggle Hut. This is Frankenburger. He says Frankenburger on the thing, and can't see it, but it's in the lady friend. Where's the lady friend? Up top. There's not a lot of space here on the time. Oh, there she is. She's like, because Frankenburgers smell weird. And she afraid the dingle gonna come off because it may not be sold on great. Disclaimer. But this is nice. I mean, this is like, oh, this is what's on the back here. It's like a guy with something. Like the Mummy Man or something. Yeah. But this is nice. I mean, this is like, Boris wear this to like a wedding. If you're invited to a wedding. Boris, they're gonna make Boris a custom tie, and he's gonna wear it, probably for Phantasm. See, Tony Greco, Boris a Phantasm right again.
And when are we going to Phantasm, Boris?
Later this year, probably not October this time. August, September, October,
August, 19 through 21st.
Whatever you say, Boris. Again, Boris, check out with that. If it's not like July, Boris don't care about the Phantasm, so he has to do promos. Because he's going to do the Creeps, 9 o'clock on the Saturday, and he's also 7 o'clock hosting Shock Reel. Now, and this year we're going to do something new because a lot of people didn't show up for Shock Reel. Boris got the whole trunk full of awards that Tony Greco and Shelley made them give back. Boris pissed about that too. You take your tie. Boris don't want to throw that. And we're going to do something new. And Boris, we're going to have kiddie time, story time for the kiddies. Disclaimer. Disclaimer for that. Don't, if you like your child, do not leave with the Boris.
Yeah.
So Boris got some cool stuff. He went to the fence to make his wallet and took out the credit card, and he got Phantom of the Paradise. Now, this movie is like the bomb diggity in the 1970s because it takes living Muppet Paul Williams and makes him the romantic lead of the movie. Now, if you ever saw Paul Williams, he's about 5'0", and he was against the giant guy in Smokey the Bandit. He was like a little Enos, a little Earl or something like that. In this movie, Swan. And he's like evil. And he take this guy's thing called Faust and this thing, and they make a movie of his own production out of it. And was it he made an opera called The Paradise. And Boris don't understand the thing, watch about 2-3 times, and then hit himself in the head and a little hypoxia. Go, oh, that's what the movie about. It's like Phantom of the Opera, but 70s. And this is the Phantom of the Paradise right here. Is Winslow Leach. He got the face mushed by something. He's not going to tell you. You got to watch it. But this is, he steal this and he look like a swan. And this is painted on what is this, a reel, like film reel case. Now Boris not going to open this because Boris, unlike Festa Maker, take care of his stuff and lock it away so nobody steal it.
So you take care of your stuff with break guard?
Yes. Because Boris you lock your stuff away. When Festerberger come over, he lock his stuff away, and then no 5, 6, 7, 8 on the code. But
What else did you get at the Spookula?
a trespass warning. Apparently, you can't go in the green room and get free food. And was this what you know the name? Boris bad with names. But Primo Cardinale. That's because Primo is gay.
Is she the one who painted your...
Yes, he makes all the art, and he made one. Boris going to talk about this, but then he's going to talk about the one with Wendy from There's a really cool picture. You got the Wendy from The Shining, and she got the cigarette with the 5-foot ash. That was awesome. He captured that.
I didn't touch it.
First to make a break going out again. The van just come up a little bit. They had to put on the safety brake. Anyway, he made this to do prints. And Boris have to buy this. He buy this. He didn't even steal this because Primo Cardinale is such a good artist. And there's Living Muppet, Paul Williams, disclaimer. And there's Winslow with the helmet with the squishy face. And there's Beef. You got to watch about Beef. Beef is awesome. Beef is kind of like, what are you pointing? No, Boris, if you go closer, people are going to see it. Yeah. Close up. Hey, everybody, I'm Winslow. I got metal teeth, and I'm mad at the little Muppet done over here. And I'm Beef. I'm going to sing this, and I almost, run out on the movie. But this is awesome. It's worth every dollar that Boris paid for that defense to make a wallet.
And we go way back with Primo, too, because he was also a vendor at
he was a Gilibration, but Boris wasn't a Gilibration because Boris had trespassed the Gilibration because apparently the Elberford guy didn't like Boris because Boris took a lot out of his truck when he was looking for the Gill man. But this is nice. Primo Cardinale, right? He on they got the thing up. They check out the thing, and you're going to go shop and say Boris sent you, and you're going to buy a lot of stuff. He got a lot.
He'll be back to Phantasm.
He's going to be Phantasm, so go to Phantasm and spend a lot of money there. Don't buy the Monster Man the table. We got the same crap, everything, but he got this good stuff here. What you going to buy, like the ant doll that Scott keep bringing over here, Fesselberger? I'm going to sell this ant. No, you're not. That's your albatross. Going to try to sell this. But anybody, Boris got a surprise for you people out there. He's ready for this. And you're gonna crap yourselves with it. Dolly. That's right, the Boris Dolly. For only $399.99.
That's not what it's.
Yes, it is, because Boris didn't get his cut of the disclaimer t-shirt, so he's gonna up the price of that. Now this is a quiet one. This is the Boris in 3D. I come to your house to take stuff. And what happens is you can sleep with this like Daddy Monster doll. He's squishy, just like Boris, squishy. But he don't care about what he look like either. So that's why we're both single. Anyway, he look like Ebenezer Scrooge, but in his thing, he don't let the ghosts in. They knock on the door like, shut the hell up, I'm sleeping. And then he wake up, he's still an a-hole on Christmas morning. So that's okay. But with the nightshirt, now this is signed. See, Boris, don't get that disclaimer. Boris don't get out much, so get the vitamin D. He's a nightman. But it's signed on the butt cheek by Boris to show it's original, like screw you, Xavier Roberts.
Come to my house with a marker and write your name on them.
Yes, because that's how Boris claimed things.
Technically,
Boris wrote this.
So
But what? You want to hold this? You want this? You really want this in your house? You know, the fans of Boris out there want this in the house. And you know who you are. You're going to pay $39.99. You got the real Boris.
yeah,
But we're going to have the talking Boris, and the talking Boris going to be cheaper.
No.
Yes. Because you want this is more expensive because you don't say nothing. The talking Boris is going to be probably cheaper because then, you know, it's like Boris talk a lot, but then when you're tired of the Boris, you're going to go get the shh. And if you don't like people, give them this one. Give them the talking one. And we rig it so it like wake up about 5 o'clock. First, make it put something in there where it's laying down next to him, and then it just sits up, turns around, goes, I know where you keep your stuff. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like the Annabelle doll, but better quality than some people make the Annabelle doll. Anyway, you got the booties. Little what's this? What's the kid? What? You got what slippers? What is it? Panda bear or something? They bought it out, so they think it's cute. When they got the black socks, boys don't. Disclaimer: boys don't sleep in black socks. They're gray. And then the black gloves. And then there's a pocket back here for going to fence to make a house and stealing stuff. And when they're gone, keep it in here too. The cap. But coming soon, the Phantasm, $599.99, and bought a sign it for another $200. And what?
What is it like seeing yourself in little dolly format?
Boris got the homunculi, and Boris, you know what? Boris actually liked this because Festamaker got to leave this on the table when he do stuff because they won't let Boris take this home when he's going to lose it or something. But Boris now have the Festamaker house 24/7, so he can put a little camera in the eye and see what they do, like when nobody around. Use the nanny cam.
Now we have an 18-inch Boris going around molesting all the toys.
That's right. The 18-inch gonna go up to the He-Man dolls and go, I'm bigger than you, black, and knock him off the shelf.
Listen, if I catch little Boris up high,
He's not little Boris. He's Boris Jr. He's not little Boris. Little Boris is that's the little Boris. Disclaimer. But it's past 11. It's all right. And besides, you got kids watching. I'll take the penis mightier for Alex for $500.
Oh, no, you will not.
They got the buzzer back, which they think is going to phase Boris. By this time, Boris just going one ear out the other one. He's not the TikTok. Well,
We
that's
are going to be going to TikTok tonight.
okay. So Boris gonna say good night. Say, do we got to do promos or anything?
We only had the convention conference we wanted to give a shout out to.
Convention conference, great stuff. Check out the nice lady. Shouldn't recognize Boris in the fence to make a makeup with the normal person. Pretty much it was this, and then they just put beige on. So if you don't see this, it's weird. And he didn't have the hat. He had the baseball hat saying not Boris. And the Boris doll, $999.99.
Is that in Booples?
Yeah, well, you know what happens is inflation, like the gas go up. Well, Boris is full. Actually, Boris will hold, because his head's empty, he'll hold about 11 ounces of gasoline. So for $1,025, we'll put premium gasoline in the head. So you either have Molotov cocktail to throw at anybody in the house, the Molotov Boris, Vigiansky cocktail, or you could just pop the head off and pour it in there. Or, you just like emergency stash of gasoline.
Your gas light comes on.
That's right. The wolf man come up, you light on fire and you throw it at people to keep your gas awake when the great humongous come to steal the gas when it's $11 a gallon. But what defense to make a god?
What else do we have?
Primo Cardinale. We are going to Phantasm August.
Yeah, you know by now, if you don't know, Boris go Phantasm
And
with
then
Fensterberger and the little
September of
Fensterberger.
next year,
We got another Phantasm.
the South Carolina Comic Con.
Then we go to South Carolina
South
Comic,
Carolina Horror
HorrorCon, Comic Con, MegaCon, Can, whatever. This is a place we go to South Carolina. We're going to say, hey, we're going to be here. Boris probably get
And
left
we just
behind.
found out also we can plug Krampus Con, December, I think it's the 3rd through the 5th.
Yeah, Boris not going to go Krampus Con. They're going to leave him back probably. But the Krampus Con, that's what happened when you work out a lot to get enough sodium. You get the Krampus.
No.
There we go.
It's-
That joke number
That's
one.
what the 17-year-old
Or
gets
that's
every
yes. It's once a month you
28
get
days.
the Krampuses, and you got to eat chocolate and take a lot of. What? There's not disclaimer. That's life, Mister. Wear the tie, look like a Sonic manager.
20 to 30 days, ladies get the
Yes.
Krampus.
They get the Krampus.
Yes.
That's because men
They
can't get
make a
them.
baby.
But because men can't make the baby, the lady make them, and then they get the Krampus, and then they yell at us because they get the Krampus.
Right.
That's why Boris single. So every 30 days, Boris don't hear, which is good. Unless the other guy to come over here and he mesh the show with the Krampuses, and then producer lady just bending steel bars, and Boris no shut the hell up. So this is it. That's what happens when Spencer make buy a Tandy 2000 from the Goodwill, and put all the show stuff on it
We were gonna
with the
improve our
with the
internet
Norton
security
antivirus from
for
1992. What?
We are definitely going to improve our security for the internet.
That's right. They'll probably put the sign "Don't touch."
I looked over there and on the monitor for a second there was 1990s, whatever they call that.
Use the flying
The
toasters.
weird.
Fence to make a fire up the Monster Man instead of the title thing is the baby Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka.
And of course the weird turnip porn and the scrambled signal.
That was not turnip porn. That was
I have no idea
that was a
what it
classy movie.
Disclaimer.
It's not turnip porn. That's classy. First of all, old country did not make turnip porn. It made classy art film with naked people and turnips.
Well, that
And-
was unpleasant.
And they don't touch the goodies with the turnip. The turnip is revered.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
All right,
geez.
on
What? That night?
On that note, good night, YouTube. We'll see you.
All right,
shortly in the TikTok.
Yeah, Boris get this 5 minutes. Come by the TikTok, Boris get more time. Boris.
TikTok Monster Manor.
TikTok, get Monster Manor, Fence to Maker, maybe be there. They yell at Boris some more, but they had the time because Boris again get the 5 minutes. So come back in 2 weeks when we got I don't know who.
We're still working on that.
Somebody else Fence to Maker gonna drag up.
We've got so many cool people this year. It's going to be it's going to.
That's right. This unlike this cool guy that make the Frankenberry. That Boris' favorite one, the Frankenberry. Probably smell like the strawberries too when you get the linoleum. Yeah, Frankenberry. But he's gonna get the guy who met the guy who was the makeup artist for Jason in Friday the 13th, Jason X. And he worked one day on Jason X where he put like one pimple on him and that's it. And his name's like Burt Bacharach, and he did like another movie.
You are
with, like-
making this up.
Yes,
Lie detector. No, we actually have a very cool. This one I can talk about. We're working on dates. But Mark Maddox, his work on some of the horror magazines like Scream and stuff like that. He's, I believe, he's even been nominated, if not awarded, the Rondo as well.
that's great. But
He's a cool guy.
no offense, Mark Maddox, but Boris ain't gonna be able to look at him, talk to him or nothing. The man had the green room by the time Boris sits his fat patoot down.
If you behaved, we would have you on more shows.
Listen,
like that.
Boris tried to go near Mike Berryman at the
Very
convention at Spookula, and you had him maced.
Who, Michael Berry?
Yeah, no, not Michael Berryman.
I'm
Professor
macing-
Berger did not have
I'm macing the greatest humanitarian.
greatest
in the world.
humanitarian. The John A. got up here. Michael Berryman, like Mr. Rogers, right there. Michael Berryman's awesome man, and he gonna gouge out your eyeball because he said that in the story
Yeah.
that Boris heard. You got to ask him about.
I feel
The
like I
gouge.
should tell people that.
But he's nice, but he won't do it on
Michael Berryman
screen.
never gouged anyone's eyes.
He never disclaimer. He never did. He never did. But he threatened to.
See, he didn't have to.
He didn't have to, but it actually was Boris because he could get away from me.
You have created a monster and it will destroy you. She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Where did Michael Betterman gonna put his hand up somebody behind and make me puppet out of him? He's just talking about the eyeball, and then you say, "Now, Boris, you can't talk about the eyeball."
Hey, Monster Kids, thanks for hanging out for another episode of Monster Manor. Do us a favor, though, and hit the bell to get reminders of when we add new content. Subscribe to our channel, and while you're waiting for new shows, check out our website at www.monstermanor1313.com. New content at least every other week, sometimes even more often. Like and follow our Facebook page as well for other content. And lastly, if you want to help us out, check out our Patreon under Monster Manor with Scott Fenster. Thanks for hanging out until the end.
Yeah.